While thinking about what to do this week, I decided I wanted to see what I could build if I focus on using homing cart devices, since they're so easy to use, which creates plenty of wild ideas to work with. So let's get to it. To start off, since I know I'm using homing carts this video, I decided to travel over to Lookout Landing, where I know there will be a monster holdout nearby. Once here, I pulled out a homing cart. And at this point, honestly, I just kind of started building and attaching random things. Halfway through, I had the idea that it would be pretty fun to see if I can make one of these wheels with lasers attached to it spin around non-stop. In the meantime, I kind of got a little carried away with placing construct heads everywhere. But I figured it'd help add more motion to make the wheel spin. So that's probably fine. Once I was satisfied with the abomination I was making, I carried it all the way over to the monster holdout in Central High Roll. Once here, I activated the device, and it cleaned out the entire base with zero issue. However, the wheels were not spinning around like I had initially hoped for. Even though this first homing cart is a success, I think we have some room for improvement.
Outstanding!
I figured the reason I wasn't getting wild spinning lasers was because I had placed the emitters opposite sides from each other, and that was making the weight a little bit too balanced. To try and solve this time I'm gonna put more lasers on each wheel, as well as give the entire device a slight makeover. After a while, this was the final result. I do have to say, I like this weird half mech look it has going on right now. With that decided, it was time to try it out. So I took it over to the holdout. Once it started, I could see that I totally added way too many construct heads. And my lasers aren't exactly spinning like I had hoped for. Also, even though this build looks pretty cool, how I place the lasers just isn't great for mobs, because they were able to break them off and pretty much render this build harmless. I've figured out what I have to do this time. Probably. Because this time, I'm not gonna rely on those little rickety wooden wheels. Instead, I'm gonna attach an actual tire that I know will spin around and give me the results I want. And since this has a much higher probability of working, I'm gonna attach all kinds of things to the tires. After everything was planned out and attached, this is what I came up with. And yeah, it looks pretty wild, but I hope it performs well. With that, I carried it over to the base and set it loose. In almost no time at all, the arms proceeded to break off and shatter all hopes I had of this build doing what I had hoped for. But in a desperate attempt to save it, I just kept reattaching the wheels in random spots. However, it was too late. The build just didn't live up to what I wanted. Alright, this time for realsies. No more construct heads. With that in mind, I got to work doing essentially the same thing as last time, except this time I added a beam, since it should be sturdy enough to hold the weight of the wheels. The only issue I could think that could arise is if the beam catches on fire. However, to circumvent this, I detached all of the flame emitters. So, here goes nothing. It's test time. Upon cutting it on, I realized I in fact removed the frost emitters. Yay! However, that wasn't enough to stop this new creation, because it was finally working how I had wanted. Lasers were shooting everywhere. In fact, it was hard to capture the footage, because I kept getting messed up by my own device. But through it all, this homing cart with wheels of spinning destruction came out on top and secured the win. If you enjoyed this video, leave a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Also, leave a comment, cause I respond to those pretty often. And as always, I'll catch you next time.